No one alive today has ever seen an empire fall. We need to get prepared for whatever is coming next. Hi, I'm Saratoga Ocean, and I work together with an interdimensional, interuniversal, and extraterrestrial force known as Telstar, along with Archangel Michael. Now, in my last video, I shared with you all some very uncanny statements that were made along the way, along all of the years that I've been doing this work, by Archangel Michael and Telstar, which represents the beings that I channel. And how they had all along the way made statements about a potential future, all of which have now unfolded and proven to be true. But there's one thing that I forgot to mention, and I want to share that with you right now. And this was a conversation I was having with Archangel Michael, and I don't remember exactly when it was. I think it was somewhere in the last 3 years, but I'm not entirely sure. But he said this very interesting thing, just very kind of casually. He said, "You've never seen an empire fall. You don't know what that looks like." And at the time, I thought, well, yeah, that's true. I've never seen an empire fall, and I don't think anyone else alive today has either. But now that we're witnessing all of the insanity that these controllers are unleashing on the planet, more and more every day, they seem to be getting more extreme and crazier every day. I'm starting to think, okay, was that another little breadcrumb or bit of a warning? Like, be prepared. You don't know what it looks like when an empire actually falls. Now, we can read in history books and we can read all kinds of stuff about what that looks like and the fall of the Roman Empire and all the other empires and all the other civilizations that have fallen, right? But I don't think we understand fully the experience of that. Now, we could say, okay, well, does that mean the US? Well, certainly it could, because I think the government in the US is pretty much collapsed or in the process of collapsing. But it could also mean the global empire of humanity, because that is also in a state of collapse. We're in a war right now. We're in a civilizational war. Now, here's what maybe could happen. Let's just say, for example, that the US collapses. We also need to think about the ripple effect of that possibility happening around the planet and how shocking that would be. I don't know if it would be like an overnight thing, but just the process of going through that would be very shocking. And for some reason, the last few days, that statement I shared with you, you've never seen an empire collapse. You don't know what that looks like. And that's been sticking in my head for like the last few days. Like, you really need to think about this, because this is an experience that is way beyond anything any of us who are alive today have experienced. So here's the risk that we run. And this is what I want to address with you guys today, so that we can consider this possibility and position ourselves in our consciousness so that we don't get overwhelmed and totally freaked out. Now, here's the thing. These controllers are now pretty much out in the open. They have exposed themselves. They have publicly announced all of their insane plans. So we know what they want to do now. It's not a secret anymore. And I know they have dates by when they need to accomplish certain parts of their plan. I think maybe 2025 might be one of their dates. Certainly 2030 is one. But I think this year is going to really be pivotal and really important to these characters because it could, make or break their efforts. I think if you put yourself in their little tiny shoes of insanity, you kind of can see that they probably have to move kind of quickly because they are so out in the open now. They can't really, take their good old time with their plot. So we could potentially see things unfold that would be even more shocking, maybe more traumatizing than what we went through with that health issue in 2020 and into 2022. Their usual playbook is to throw everyone into fear and terror, and there's a reason for that. The reason is because when you are in a tremendous state of fear, you go into confusion. You shift into the primitive part of your brain of fight, flight, or paralysis. You literally cannot think straight. And you end up in a terrible state of having no clue what to do. So this is a bit of a continuation of what I spoke about last week, but I want to take it to another level with you guys. Because we don't want to put ourselves at risk of finding ourselves in that state and feeling overwhelmed. We want to prepare ourselves now so that if they pull some real craziness this year, which is probably a likely occurrence, we are psychologically, mentally, emotionally, and physically, and just our whole energy field, our whole consciousness is well prepared and in a place of strength, empowerment, and stability. So what we need to do is we need to expand our consciousness to a level that is much bigger than the unfolding events on this planet. Because if we do not expand our consciousness now, and we keep it as small as it is right now for most people, right? We're sitting ducks. We're very much at risk for being controlled, enslaved, and all the rotten stuff that these controllers want to do. So here's the simplicity of what I want to share with you in terms of how to handle this. Essentially, what we need to do is we need to expand our paradigm of awareness and consciousness to something that is much larger than any and all events on planet Earth. The reason for this is because this will enable us to hold any and all events that unfold here within our own consciousness as individuals without totally freaking out. So I want to show you some diagrams of what this looks like so that you can get really, really clear of what our aim is here and how you can actually make this happen for yourself. Okay, so this first drawing represents where most of us are, just as a general rule here on planet Earth. We have the personal context, which represents each one of our individual personal lives and the circumstances in our personal life. And then in a bigger context, a bigger sense, we have the events on planet Earth. That's the planetary context. And then beyond that, we have the cosmos, which I would call a cosmic context. And for most people, that is basically the realm of unconsciousness. And I'm going to explain to you exactly why it's unconscious, why it was orchestrated that way, and how we got there. Now I'm going to show you with these little diagrams exactly the effect that has on us, that realm of unconsciousness and the cosmos, and why it is so important that we shift our consciousness, shift our paradigm to something much larger. So here we have the same three realms: the personal realm, the Earth's realm, and the larger cosmos, which is basically the realm of unconsciousness. So if we put each of ourselves in the personal realm at the center, our consciousness is smaller than the events on planet Earth. Therefore, the crazy events on planet Earth press into our consciousness, press against us, and can completely overwhelm us, put us in a state of confusion, fear, terror, you name it, because especially if you're talking about the fall of an empire or a global empire or the collapse of civilization. And then we can end up feeling completely lost. So now when you look at this last drawing I just showed you, it's kind of starting to look like a bit of a setup, right? Because how do we turn this around? How do we switch it from the planetary events pressing against us, overcoming us, and overwhelming us? How do we shift the space of our consciousness into something that is large enough and larger than that so that we can hold those events within our consciousness instead of being overwhelmed by them? So let's take a look at one more drawing to see what our aim is. So in this drawing represents us expanding our consciousness to become bigger than the events on planet Earth, expanded into the cosmos where we can be anchored at a cosmic level, which will then help us not be overwhelmed and thrown off completely and just in a state of losing ourselves entirely. Now, can you see how it suits the controller's agenda? And remember, these controllers are ancient. Their scene goes back into ancient history. So we're not talking only about modern day controllers. But can you see how it is to their advantage for our consciousness to be so shrunken down that the only thing we occupy ourselves with are mainly our own personal circumstances, and we see that as separate from the outer world, which is now going to start crumbling all around us. Can you see how keeping our consciousness that small suits them very well? It also suits them in another way. Because when we have our consciousness that small, our impulse is fight or flight. But you're looking at a situation that's much bigger than your personal circumstances. So looking at this purely on an individual level, just you yourself, how in the world do you fight global events? You know, that's a big thing to take on, and you're probably not going to get very far. Now, don't draw any conclusions from what I just said that I'm suggesting we should all just go into denial and shrink into our own little world, because that's why we're in trouble right now, see? So just follow along with what I'm saying, and this is all going to make a whole lot of sense as I get to the completion of what I want to share with you. Because I think you're going to find it really fascinating to see how we have been set up for years to be in this shrunken space of consciousness. And by exposing this to ourselves right now, we can come out of that virtual prison. I'll call it a prison of smallness. We have had a prison of smallness imposed upon us without our awareness. And if we don't unlock that prison, wake up, understand how it was done to us and why it's happening, we're kind of, I keep saying sitting ducks. Yeah, you guys know what that means, right? It's like we're going to be in trouble. So we're here today to fix this problem right now. And what caused this problem is probably going to surprise you, because it's going to seem it's probably something that you maybe thought was no big deal. You know, who cares? Okay, fine, but that's not the most important thing. You know, stuff like that. That's probably how we all looked at it. But now I think you're going to start to see how, oh no, this was very strategically done to all of us. So let's just start with the core way in which this happened. And I have often said this, that one of the worst things that was ever done to us as a humanity was to lie to us and tell us that there is no life anywhere in the universe. It's only planet Earth that has life. And that's what makes us so special, because we're the only living things in the entire freaking universe. And that propaganda has been penetrating our brains forever. Because what that did was that put us all into a mental prison with no way out. It completely destroyed any hope that we might have had to fully understand our situation in a way that would empower us and perhaps completely undermine these controllers. That's what it did. That's what it was designed to do. And it was done very effectively. See, if we had been empowered in a very different way, we would have been able to fully understand what is happening on planet Earth before it was too late, before we were in the situation we're in right now. See, if we had collectively known that there is life all over this universe, and that much of that life does not match what's going on here on planet Earth, we would have had perspective. We would have had a vastly different perspective than the one that was put into our brains. Because we probably would have had a chance to stop this entire fiasco before it even got really going, because we would have had something to compare ourselves to. We would have known a bigger reality than just planetary Earth. But see, we were actually fed some pretty outrageous alien propaganda in the form of religion and science that we are it, and we are so special, and we are so amazing, and therefore we have no perspective at all. Because that is a lie, and it's not true. I mean, think about this for a second, you guys. Just think about how often we have been fed the lie that Earth is like the center of the cosmos. It's so amazing. And now the natural Earth and its natural design and how it's really meant to function and how it's been created is beautiful. It's incredible. It's gorgeous. But it's not the only thing in the whole freaking universe, you guys. But that's what we were told. And anyone who didn't go along with that was deemed crazy. And then, of course, we had the Hollywood version of extraterrestrial life, right? Where, they always come in spaceships with ray guns and they want to kill everyone. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's completely ridiculous. So we live our entire lives thinking that, we can't. Let me just backtrack for a moment. I want you to think of the psychological implications of believing that we are the only life in the universe. And you look at planet Earth, you look at the violence, the wars, the duality, the extreme suffering that goes on here, the starvation, the poverty, I mean, all of it. You look at all of that, and yet you believe, or we believed collectively, that, but hey, there's no life anywhere else. I mean, this is, it's bad, but it's so special. We have to preserve it because it's so important and it's so special. You just completely lose perspective. You walk around planet Earth like you're inebriated with something weird. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we are told that planet Earth and humanity on Earth, we are the crown jewel in the eyes of God. We are everything. I mean, if you believe that, how inclined are people going to be to question what's going on this Earth? I mean, they're not going to be that inclined because they're instantly living in a state of total confusion, like absolute confusion. And the propaganda is so deep, it's so ingrained, it's so entrenched, that even when science tells us how big the galaxy is, how big the universe is, how much they've discovered, the massive, gargantuan nature of the cosmos, we still believe the lie that we're it. Because even though they tell us that, they also tell us, hey, if there was life elsewhere, we would know. That's what they tell us. And people believe that. They say, we would know because we're scientists and we know everything about everything. So if there was life elsewhere, we would know. And besides, we put those goofy looking satellite dishes up in southern New Mexico. So if there were, those radio receiver things, if there was life out there, surely they would be contacting our weird little array of satellite dishes. And so far they haven't. So that means there's no life. So people believe this nonsense. People fall victim to the ridicule they will be the receivers of if they don't buy into this nonsense. And we sit here like a bunch of slaves, a bunch of crushed peoples, because in our minds, on a subconscious level, and maybe even a conscious level for a lot of people, we look out in the universe and we're like, oh, it's pretty cold and empty out there. At least, in spite of things being so messed up here on Earth, at least we're here and we're not out there. Because out there, there's nothing. There's just oblivion. I mean, we got to at least be happy for what we have here. And besides, the religions tell us that we are the crown jewel in God's eyes. So thus it all gets rationalized away. Thus it all gets dismissed. People go unconscious. They go into a state of emotional, mental, physical, psychological survival, and they just try to make the best of their situation. But now we notice something a little bit interesting, don't we? We notice that little by little, there are these little things popping out. Oh, you know what? There really are UFOs because the military has seen them. Guys, have you noticed they only acknowledge when the government sees UFOs? When ordinary people see them, it's like, well, they're just crazy. The only people that are legitimate talking about extraterrestrial life is the freaking controllers. Ordinary people are going to be laughed at and ridiculed and called crazy. There's another big clue. You see, if you know that this is a lie, you see through it immediately and you will not fall prey to it. And this is the lie that has led us to just accept, surrender to the AI alien takeover. And I've talked about this at length. If you're new here, you can look at some of my previous videos. I have gone into this in great depth about AI and all of it. But for right now, AI also stands for alien invasion, because AI is an alien energy. It is not compatible with planet Earth. It is not compatible with humanity. It is not compatible with nature. I'm not saying that technology is bad. There is plenty of technology in the universe that is absolutely in harmony, in resonance, and in perfect coherence with the natural universe itself. But that's not what's happening here. This is a very different kind of so-called technology. The key word is artificial. That word right away should put up a giant red flag in everyone's consciousness. Like, what? What do you mean artificial? Artificial means fake. Artificial means not real. Look it up. Look at the definition. So the moment they started using the term artificial intelligence, everyone should have taken note of that and said, hold on, what in the world are you talking about? Instead of, oh, this is cool. AI means we don't have to think anymore. We don't have to work anymore. I mean, that's what GPT is all about, right? ChatGPT is here to do your thinking for you, so you don't have to develop any skills to write, and you won't have to read. I think that's probably why they feel so free to destroy education, because they know that no one's going to need to read or write. AI is going to be doing all of that. Humans aren't going to need to do that. Anyway, that's another topic. So because of the fact that we have been brainwashed into believing that there's no life, there's no anything outside of our Earth, when an alien invasion, a real alien invasion actually happens, which is what artificial intelligence is, when that happens, we have no way to recognize it as alien. Do you see what I mean? Our only option is to think, well, this was invented by people, right? This came from planet Earth. Therefore, it's okay. It's part of our species. It's part of what we've created. We designed this. Therefore, it's just a part of us. And we don't even question it. Man, you gotta give these controllers credit for being pretty stealthy with how they manipulate the planet and the population of this Earth, because it's kind of a clever thing. I know I say they're dumb, and they are at a cosmic level. They're extremely dumb, extremely stupid. But you gotta kind of marvel at their sinister genius, right? At putting everyone on Earth in a position of being completely incapable of recognizing a true alien invasion. Incapable of knowing when something is actually truly alien to the planet. Do you see what I mean? Because everything outside of Earth we're told, is empty space. There's nothing there. There's nothing going on. It's just a bunch of stars just doing nothing. And so then we sit here and we believe that anything that happens on planet Earth must have come from the Earth and from the inhabitants of the Earth. So we wrestle with it as though it's a part of us. That is completely insane. Oh, and by the way, AI also stands for alien intelligence. Not just artificial intelligence, alien intelligence, alien invasion. It's all the same 2 letters. So I want to help you shift as we go through this discussion here. I want to help you shift to a cosmic level. Because as long as you stay at an Earth-based level, as long as humanity stays at an Earth-based level, we don't know what to do about AI. We don't even frame it correctly. And as long as we continue to think that AI is just a part of our human species because it's something we created, therefore it must be good, it must be there to help us, they know we're not going to take a stand against our own species. They know that. So as long as we believe that AI was an invention of human hands on planet Earth, then we're done. We're over. We're history. See, if we had what I always call an extraterrestrial perspective, which is just another word for a cosmic perspective, we would have been so much more able to recognize that alien invasion as it was happening under the wire, so to speak, behind the scenes. We would have been able to see that something's wrong here, something's amiss here. We would have recognized it as a threat. But we don't anymore. No, we never did. We saw it as progress. Oh, this is just us making progress with technology, right? Even though AI is stealing our very lives from right under our noses. And these controllers that are run by AI, not the technology you see on Earth. I'm not talking about that AI. I'm talking about an energy, it's not even a presence, it's more of an absence. It's a phenomenon that is behind the scenes, it's parasitic. There are layers of how it infiltrates a planetary realm. And we're almost at its end game right now. I mean, we literally don't see it. We are literally blind. And the selling point, the sales job we're given is that AI is wonderful because you won't have to do anything. That's what they want. See, the controllers don't want us doing anything, do they? And the idea that not having to do anything, learn anything, be anything is a good idea. I mean, if you believe that, then you probably believe being in prison is good too, because you don't have to do anything there either. I mean, at least if you're in a regular jail, at least you can still think, right? For everyone else who thinks they're free, AI is going to be doing the thinking for you. It probably already is, because we don't even know how much AI has infiltrated the internet and is influencing the trajectory of thought in the human species. So let's just take a look at where we are right now. Basically, the human biological world is being demolished. It's being demolished so that a brand new artificial kingdom can be put in place, run by AI, and all the stuff that goes along with that. The unfortunate part right now, I think, is that we are so distracted by the wars and the political chaos and all of the surface stuff, all of which are just merely symptoms of a collapsing civilization. We're so preoccupied with the symptoms that we don't even have room in our consciousness to understand or recognize that they're building an infrastructure here, you guys. That's the reason it's collapsing. Because they intend for this to be a very different kind of planet. And I think it's time that we stop the lie that this is all just something that humans invented and humans created. It's not true. I mean, on its face, it's not true. Humans by nature do not create things that will destroy them. And AI is like a mind virus. A virus takes over the host and gets the host to function in its interest, or, whether it's a cell or whatever. But AI is like a mind virus. And people on Earth are just openly accepting it. Yes, please do my thinking for me, do my writing for me, do my talking for me. I'll be an avatar. I'll just basically cease to exist. And this is literally where people are going. So right now, if you think about the infrastructure that is being built on Earth and all of this very discordant technology that is blanketing the planet, blanketing the skies with thousands of satellites and God knows what else is up there, right? All connecting down, beaming back and forth from Earth and back into space, this shroud of artificiality, if that's even a word, around the planet and over the top of the planet. If you think about that, you could say that Earth is very sick with an alien virus. Alien, literally. Not from here, not originating here, but having moved in to this planetary realm and is currently in the process of literally taking it over. Okay, so now let's talk about what we all need to do to rectify this situation in our own minds and our own consciousness so that we can be in a place of being firmly rooted in reality, in the truth, and fully empowered in who we really are. I want you to start by just contemplating what I said a little earlier about the lie that there's no life anywhere, there's no anything in the whole universe, it's just us. And really consider the impact that that has on your perception of reality, and thus how you respond to any unfolding realities on this earth, and how therefore your response can be completely off the mark because you don't have any context for any sort of alien invasion other than spaceships shooting ray guns and killing a bunch of people that Hollywood has taught you. If you just can see that part of the manipulation and the control, that can help to really shift your paradigm and say, wait a minute, I have been completely manipulated to see life on Earth in a vastly erroneous way. Because I have been manipulated to see life on Earth in a false context, to see life on Earth in a lie called, there's no life anywhere else, and what's happening here is awesome. And what's happening here is God's will, and all that stuff, right? So that's the first, that's the first thing, is to consider that, contemplate that, and just use your rational thinking mind to understand the impact of that massive, massive lie that hit us on a physical level via science and on a spiritual level via religion, because they were working in tandem with this lie. So the more clarity you experience as you contemplate this, You need to next begin to clear out any and all frequencies in your energy field and in your consciousness that are a product of this outrageous lie. And that would include false beliefs about AI being the product of human progress and advancement in technology. No, that's not real. That's not true. And I'll just bring this little thing up that I'm not going to go into because I've talked about it in several other videos before. Remember the story where I told you I heard this face-to-face, the scientists who were considered some of the original creators of artificial life. They called it artificial life, not artificial intelligence, because they knew they were creating an actual life form. They also knew they were not in control. They admitted that. They didn't know why they were doing it. They didn't know why they were acting like gods who were literally building something that would destroy biological life. These guys were some of the originators. Okay, so this is fact. They know that this is coming from something else. It's the general public, the people of Earth, who are clueless and think because they sell it as human progress. That's how they sell it. I'm not saying this is going to be easy because I don't know how much you personally, each one of you guys, feels like your mind has been infiltrated by this lie. So it's really your choice. Do you want to purge that junk out of your energy field? Do you want to purge those frequencies out of your consciousness? And watch your mind begin to clear. Watch, it's almost like, oh, that was a really dirty window I was looking through, and all of a sudden it's clean. You might have that kind of an experience. Now, the next thing that you want to do is you want to remind yourself as physically and viscerally as you can that you are standing on a planet in space. You want to remind yourself that there is other life out there. There's no way that only Earth has this abundance of life and just flourishing with life of every kind. I mean, it's amazing. It really is. And how irrational and ridiculous it is to say that this isn't happening anywhere else in the whole universe, that the entire universe was created just for this one little speck, because Earth, relatively speaking, is a tiny, tiny, tiny little speck. You literally can't see it. You don't have to go very far away from planet Earth or you can't see it anymore. So no, it's irrational to think that it's the only life in the universe. And if you feel like, well, I don't know if that's really true because the controllers told me this. Hey, I think it's obvious by now that all they ever do is lie. All they've ever done is lie. All they've ever done is try to repress us, enslave us. I mean, these guys are no good. These are not the people you want to believe. And I know it's so many of us can just feel sick at what's happening on planet Earth right now. But one way you can help yourself purge that feeling of feeling sick is when you realize that a lot of what you might be feeling sick with is all the lies that have been put in your brain and trying to process reality through so many lies and so much propaganda. That'd make anybody feel sick because you feel like I can't process it. I can't understand it. I can't grasp it. And it has a terrible effect on your consciousness. So if you think about it in that way, you may understand that purging those frequencies, those energies out of your consciousness can be a really beneficial thing for you to do. And if you wonder how you purge them, how you clear them, well, one way is to become rational again, to become think sane thoughts again. Don't let the controllers be what would you call them, the arbiters of your thinking or something like that. Don't let the controllers be your programmers. Think your own thoughts. Clear out the junk. Once you get clear, a lot of things are going to make sense to you personally. So let me take you back one more time to one of those drawings that I showed you earlier here. So when we eliminate the lie that there's no life anywhere in the universe, there's no manifestation of anything, it's just us. When we eliminate that lie, when we purge those lies from our consciousness, we automatically allow our consciousness to expand beyond just our personal sphere and beyond all of the circumstances on Earth and into a cosmic level of consciousness, which is the truth. This is when we finally will achieve true perspective, where the events on planet Earth will no longer have such a powerful capacity to overwhelm us and terrify us. So in that last drawing, what I was showing you was a cosmic level of consciousness where you are awake at a cosmic level. That's the level we need to be awake at so that we know how to process and deal with the unfolding circumstances on planet Earth. And realize something else. Realize that there are countless millions of people on this Earth for generations that have had their own experiences of extraterrestrial contact. They have been repressed and ridiculed and buried. Just remember what I shared with you guys in the beginning, that isn't it weird how it's only the government that's allowed to validate the existence of extraterrestrial life? Think about that, right? And even though you may not have met any of these millions of people, I've met quite a few of them over the years. And I've had people come up to me. One time I did a lecture, this was quite a while ago, I think it was in North Carolina somewhere. I don't know. I was traveling a lot at that time, but someone asked me if I would do a lecture about extraterrestrial life at a country club. It was the craziest thing ever. I don't know why it was a country club, but I didn't even know the people that were coming. And yeah, it was weird. It was like they were going to have this dinner at their country club, and then they wanted me to be a speaker about extraterrestrial life. And I was thinking to myself, oh man, this is going to be weird. These people are going to think I'm crazy. Why does this person, I think it was a connection that someone else made between them and me. Why does this person want me to talk about this here? These people don't want to hear this. This is what's going through my mind, right? I thought, well, I'm going to do it because I agreed to. So I was sharing some of my own experiences, and God, the weirdest thing happened. People were like riveted, right? And afterwards, there was like this line of people that came up and wanted to talk to me. And people a couple of them were like in tears. And they were just so emotional because they had had experiences of ET contact and they had to keep it repressed. And whenever they tried to share it, people didn't believe them. They thought they were crazy. So they kept this inside of them for years. And they were thanking me and saying, thank you so much. I've never been able to say this to anyone. I remember one woman was literally crying. And that was a period of time where I was talking about this type of thing more. And I met people all over, the most people you would never expect, who would share with me from a very sincere place, and I felt like, gosh, somebody needs to deal with this because so many people have these experiences and can't even talk about it. Like they know they can't process it because they've been fed the same stupid lie. This is what has been done to us, you guys. This is extremely serious because it has destroyed our perspective. It has destroyed our ability to understand our place in the universe, our place in the cosmos. So I was just so shocked by how many people were literally suffering with this thing they had to keep to themselves so people wouldn't say they were crazy. It was really sad. It was really something. Okay, I got to add one more quick story. I'll try to make it quick. Another thing I have shared way back with you guys, but I'll bring it up again because I'm sure there are people here who didn't hear about this, but I don't know when it was. It was when our kids were little, and We were living in New Mexico in Santa Fe. We took a trip to Roswell. I'm going to give you guys the fast version. And it was so bizarre because it was like everybody in Roswell, New Mexico, you just knew the environment there was like, of course there's extraterrestrial life, of course. And it was like this tiny little town, but it's like this cultural thing that was acknowledging it. And energetically, I felt like it was maybe the only place on earth that didn't have a ceiling on top of it. I literally felt like the whole planet has a ceiling over it that is a ceiling of denial and repression about extraterrestrial life. I didn't feel that in that little tiny town of Roswell. And it was so, the contrast just blew me away because I didn't even know there was a ceiling until I was in this little circle where it wasn't there. And that was the craziest experience ever. So this is a real thing, you guys, that has been done to us, this incredible repression, so that we would never question what's going on. We would be completely confused, and we would end up in the dire straits we find ourselves in right now with this alien AI invasion and all the junk that goes along with that. So overall, to summarize, the paradigm shift that we need to make will occur naturally when you consider the big, huge lie that has been impressed upon the consciousness of humanity on this planet about that cosmic level of consciousness, that cosmic awareness of extraterrestrial life, that it's not about spaceships. It's just, see, I don't want you to think I'm talking about spaceships and aliens flying in little ships all over the place. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, yeah, that goes on, but at a much bigger level, there is life. This universe is teeming with life. I mean, have you noticed how many stars there are? Have you noticed how many planets or solar systems there are with those stars? I mean, there's a lot going on, you guys. It's interdimensional, it's multidimensional. You don't have to know the details. You don't have to know the specifics. All you have to know is that you are an integral part of this cosmic, ginormous ecosystem of life that consists of galaxies, stars, planets, and things we don't even know about, dimensions we haven't even visited. There's so much going on. And the idea that we're it, that's the big lie that ultimately has led to our near demise at this particular point in our history. So there's two reasons you want to make that paradigm shift. One, so that you're not overwhelmed. And two, even more importantly, so that you can continue to fulfill your human purpose in the cosmos, which is to evolve. Ultimately, to evolve out of duality. So what I want to do just to complete this is I just want to show you real quickly the various stages of this invasion and where we are right now. So the first stage is invasion, and that's already happened. And that's when AI and its accompanying forces, because it's got all kinds of junk that goes along with it, you know, the demons and the reptiles and all that stuff, right? It's got a whole bunch of junk that accompanies its entry into a planetary realm or precedes its entry into a planetary realm to sort of, you know, soften up the population, if you will. And that would be the invasion part. That's already occurred. The next part would be infiltration. That too has already occurred. And I'm not just talking about what I said at the beginning, you know, the what I call the WEFers, invading governments or infiltrating governments. No, I'm talking about something much deeper. Something such as, for example, the internet. The internet is infiltration. Fortunately, there are a lot of good people using the internet for positive reasons. But the intention of the internet, the intention of building this thing, was for it to ultimately serve as the global brain for AI to eventually take over. And So I encourage you, if you're using the internet, like I'm using it now, obviously, hopefully to inform people about what is going on. And I think that's important for us to, because we're not going to escape it. You can't escape the internet. You're interacting with it in ways you don't even see. We interact with it with banking, with shopping, with literally everything. So if you're going to use it with a powerful purpose and vision and understand the bigger picture. So the infiltration phase is ongoing, and that would currently consist of them building out a deeper infrastructure, a greater infrastructure, which is what we saw them beginning to do at the beginning of 2020. And I'm not going to go into the details about that. We all know what happened in 2020, right? And all the stuff that went along with that, the control, everything. So they're still building out this infrastructure. That's going on even as we speak. And then in the middle, the phase is what I would call controlled collapse, which eventually morphs into out of control collapse of the old system, so that the new AI system can emerge from the ashes. And then you have a vastly different planet than anything that's ever happened here. Because guys, this isn't Atlantis, okay? I know there are people who think, oh, this is what happened in Atlantis and we're all Atlanteans. No, this is not Atlantis. AI has the capacity to completely wipe out all of biological life. That was known. I heard it from the horse's mouth in that story I told you guys years ago. They clearly understood that they were building something that could eliminate biological life altogether. Have you noticed how much they hate the weather? They don't like trees. They don't like food. They don't like humans. They don't like a whole bunch of stuff that's really important to this beautiful paradise of a planet that we live on. Those are clues. Think about it. So this is where we are right now. We're sort of at the controlled collapse, which is morphing right now as we speak, maybe in 2024, maybe this year, into an out of control collapse. And I want to mention one other thing, just as an aside, that I think is very important to be aware of. It's called AGI, Artificial General Intelligence. That is when AI takes on the same capabilities that humans have in terms of thought processes and being autonomous and all of that. And what's so interesting is now these big corporations, starting with OpenAI, they're in a race to create AGI. And it was only a few short years ago they were saying we should never, ever let AGI happen. That is so dangerous. Well, how funny that all of a sudden they don't care. Because see, they're not really in control. There's something else bigger going on here. So just might want to be aware that now they're in a big race as to who can get to AGI first. Now the plan would be, if everything collapses at the same time that a new artificial kingdom of AI arises, then the next phase is the open rebuilding of that new kingdom of AI, artificial life. And from that point on, the final phase is a complete and total planetary takeover. In which case, if it were to succeed, you wouldn't even recognize this planet anymore. It would become a vastly different kind of entity. So hopefully it won't go that far. We don't know. But nonetheless, we know that we are right smack in the middle of this process. So here's how you want to look at all of this in terms of your human purpose, why you exist in the universe, not just on Earth, but why you exist in the universe. As I said before, we each exist for the purpose of evolving ourselves, and somewhere when we reach a certain point of evolution, playing an active conscious role in the evolution of the universe, because this universe is in the process of evolving out of duality. Now, when you're in the middle of a situation like what's happening on this planet right now, the most important thing for you to do to retain your sense of self, your sense of truth, who you really are as an infinite being, and maintain your ascension journey Ascension really means evolution. It's another word of evolving to higher and higher states of being and consciousness. You want to be able to continue your evolutionary process, your evolutionary journey, no matter what is happening. Think of it as like you need to just keep walking. You need to just keep going forward. And that's why I brought up this whole video of this massive paradigm shift that we need to make, where our consciousness is larger on an actively aware state, larger than the events happening on Earth. That also takes away a lot of the fear, because it takes away a lot of the overwhelm. And it positions you to be able to continue creating your life as you see fit. And I highly encourage you to do that. Keep creating your life as you want your life to be. Stay aware of what's going on, but don't let it distract you from your higher purpose. Now, before I go, I want to mention that I don't think we have a lot of time to pull ourselves together and become ourselves at a cosmic level of being. Because we need to really get ourselves engaged at this much more expanded level of consciousness prior to any real extreme craziness unfolding here on Earth. Because once those dominoes start to fall, if you haven't done the work within yourself in advance of that, you're going to find it very difficult to weather that. You're going to find it very difficult to find yourself in the middle of that. Like, who am I? Where am I? What do I do? Oh my God, oh my God. I'm just in a state of panic. We can't afford that. We cannot afford that. So hopefully I've given you a lot to think about here, a lot to consider. Hopefully you will test out these ideas for yourself, reason it out on a rational, logical level, and see if it doesn't shift your consciousness in a way that you begin to realize how much more empowered you can actually be while living and standing here on planet Earth. And as I've been doing lately, I'm going to continue putting a link in the description for the HEALY quantum frequency device, because I have found that using this device every day, and it in no way is difficult, does not interfere with your everyday life, massively accelerates your efforts to evolve. Massively. Now, if you want to get one of these, or you're not sure what it means or how to use it, and you have questions about what does that mean, because I know I'm just giving you a fast statement. I'm saying, well, it'll massively accelerate your efforts to evolve. And yes, it will. No question about it. But if you need to talk more about that or understand what exactly are you talking about, Saratoga, how exactly is that possible, I am very happy to communicate with you about that. And I'll put that in the link, whether it's via email or if we need to have a chat or something, because I so believe in this, and I feel that it's so important that we have this available to us right now when we need it the most. So check it out. I have a new link for this. I don't know if I had it up last week or not, but it's new. So you can go check that out and let me know if you want to if you feel like I need to understand more what you mean by that, Saratoga, because if this is what you say, this is important. And yes, I think it's very important, extremely important. So yeah, check it out if you want an accelerator in your efforts. So I think that's it for this week. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Share it out with anyone else who you feel this paradigm shift that I've been talking about would really, really help them. Share it out with anyone that you feel inspired in such a way that they would want to hear this. And be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell, because I am here most Tuesdays with all new videos. And with that, I'm sending you so much love, light, and high vibrational energy. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Namaste.